dearest Ralph. As a designer, you conjure up all things I most care about. The country, misty mornings, summer afternoons, great open spaces, horses, cornfields, vegetable gardens, fireplaces, and Jack Russell Terriers. Your story is not about trends or fleeting moments, but about values and things that last. You've not only created a total concept of fashion and style, but by your consistency and integrity, protected it, always reminding us of the best things in life. And if you say something is very Ralph Lauren, you're immediately understood.
Everything in this room is a mix of everything that I love. So they're gifts to friends, they're gifts from people in the company. They all mean something, and they're not just things. I'm inspired by everything that I see. You know, I love old things, I love cowboy boots, I love details, I love cars. They're sort of the beginnings of a concept. Somehow, it all ends up in my clothes. We ought to work on something that's a little lighter. This is authentic, but maybe we need to do a feminine version of that. I never thought I was in the fashion business. If someone said, "Are you a fashion designer?" No, I hate fashion.
I think anti-fashion was always something that Ralph was inspired by. So it really comes out of just a gut that Ralph has, this amazing instinct.
Ralph always says, I never went to fashion school. He doesn't do his own sketches. Not all designers do, but many of them do.
These are great. I love these.
I think he was freed. I think it was an amazing thing that he didn't have that training.
I didn't have the training to cut the garment or do some of the things that designers do, but I had the eye, and I don't know where it came from. When I was growing up, I didn't even know what a designer was, but my father was an artist. The color somehow comes from my father. My father was a painter. He made paintings and murals in offices and churches and synagogues. I'd watch him up on scaffolds painting, and I'd say, wow, that's amazing. But I didn't have his talent. But somehow I was given something else. The artistry came in another way.
Ralph had this special thing that rose to the surface. He had such a great creativity and imagination.
So I always felt a little special about, you know, who I was. Was I Eddie Fisher, or was I whoever the star was at the moment? When I was a kid, I'd go into a dance, and the girls, somehow I could feel that they liked me, and I couldn't figure out what it was, whether I was really handsome or it was my imagination. But I enjoyed if someone said I was cute.
He had a natural affinity for finding things and putting himself together that made him special. Like, where'd you find that, Ralph? Maybe he'd find a local store that had an old army jacket and he'd wear that. Or maybe he'd grab a jacket and was stylish, and it was like, boom, everybody looked around and said, that's great, that's cool. He just had style.
I saw Ralph when I was a teenager. We both grew up in the Bronx. I remember seeing him because he dressed in a way that was so different from everyone else. And I thought, how cool, you know, that he has the courage to walk around like that. He had a very personal look.
When I was 14, my friend took me up to his house, and then he opened his father's closet. I saw all these shoes with shoe trees in them. And I said, wow, look at that. I went home and looked at my closet. It was shoes piled up, hardly could find one shoe after the other shoe. I lived in a small little room with my two older brothers. I had the cot, and I realized that I can't wait to get out of here so I can have my own drawers and my own things. I grew up in a very humble way. My parents were European, came to this country when they were 16 or 17 years old, and they took care of us and loved us. I always had a nice home life with my parents and my brothers and sister. But you are always aspiring. You set your dreams. You're looking out at the world a little bit, learning that life could be better.
I could see that there was something that he was creating that I think later on he would use in his design rooms. The vision was the same. He had this idea about lifestyle, buying into you can live this way through his clothes.
You know, when models walk into my office, they're 18 years old, no sophistication. All of a sudden, they become something else.
Take a walk.
The star of your movie.
The light went out earlier.
Interesting, but we don't have that.
I think she's good.
Yep,
Very good. Good. I like very natural women, not too much makeup. She just wears a pair of jeans and a t-shirt. Not the girl with all the fashion and the designer clothes.
And I love long hair. Hair blowing in the wind, convertible. And that's what my vision is, what my wife looks like.
My mother is his muse. She has a great sense of personal style and simplicity.
She's beautiful and she's very natural. My dad does not like any makeup on me or her. He wants very natural beauty. She really just is so down to earth. My mom's sort of a tomboy, jock, and elegant woman.
My mom walks into a room and she just looks natural and dress is flowing and he says, "Wow, you look beautiful," he'll say. And then he'll go into the office and he says, "You should have seen how Ricky walked in, what she did, the way she was dressed." That's what I'm trying to capture a little bit of that spirit. His different characters come to life, but they all have pieces of my mom in them.
I grew up passing Ricky's door in the Bronx, but we've never met. When I met Ricky, she was 19 and a half years old. There was an honesty and an integrity to her and a sweetness, and by accident, she happened to be beautiful.
He said, if I asked you, would you go out with me? And I said, I don't know, ask him, we'll see. But he thought I was being very clever and coy, but I wasn't. I was innocent, and I said what I felt.
I was 24 years old, and I was not looking to get married. But we fell in love, and it was like, after about the fourth date, I thought, this is the girl I'm going to marry.
We were children. We were living there in the Bronx. We were still kids. We had a small apartment with a Pullman kitchen that's in the same room as the living room. We had nothing. We slept on the floor in a mattress, and that was the beginning.
We had a train above our heads, the L. It was like a movie. And we hear the noise. I think it was Barefoot in the Park. When the train went by and the whole boom, it's sort of the young married couple. And I remember we had a phone, and the phone was a turquoise Princess. And I never ever thought I'd have a turquoise Princess phone in my house. But we loved the phone because it was so modern.
And we'd go down to Greenwich Village, and there was a store that sold furs. And there were patchwork furs very often, and we'd go searching around for interesting things that we could decorate the house with. We had a bulletin board, and on the bulletin board we would tack dream pictures, things we loved. Like he would put a Morgan sports car, or a beautiful place, anything that we loved at the time. His father was an artist, and he was able to do faux bois, which is fake wood. He painted it. So the walls of the living room were wood, but not really wood. They were painted.
And we painted all the little trim in the house, and they were wrought iron. We made them like gold.
We stayed up all night long. Gilding was ridiculous with those fur rugs and everything else that we had accumulated. We didn't have very much, but we were happy with what we had.
This is nice and flat. Okay.
You like that? You want a bag? Like a kind of very cool bag?
The one with the studs was cool. Rob doesn't have to be exact with the ponytail, but there's something.
When you see her hair up,
finish it.
You want it more dramatic. Yeah. Yeah, let me see that. That looks beautiful. The bag looks a little rugged. You know, I didn't know what my story was going to be. I didn't say I'm going to be this great fashion designer or whatever you want to call it. But even as a young man, I had a story.
He always had a sense about what he wanted to look like, how he wanted his clothes to look. When he was a tie salesman, he and Ricky had just gotten married, and he went to a custom tailor, and just told him what he wanted. No training whatsoever, and he designed his wardrobe with this tailor. The Daily News Record, which was the menswear daily newspaper, did a story on Ralph back in 1964 on his personal style. This is 3 years before he started his business. He was just this dashing man about town who, because he couldn't find exactly what he wanted in the stores, was having his clothes custom made while he was a salesman.
I just knew what I wanted. I had this passion to get something. No one was doing it. So I'm saying, I want to buy a tie. I want to buy the wide tie. Then I would go to a tie maker and have them make ties for me. Why I wanted the wide tie? Maybe I saw it in old movies and they look great. Maybe it was on Fred Astaire and I liked the look.
It's just like looking for a raindrop in the ocean.
And I said, I want that.
Searching for a dewdrop in the dew.
But I didn't know where to buy it.
Still I've gotta find you.
I saw them in the movies, but I didn't see them in the stores.
I'll roam the town in hopes that we'll meet. Look at each face.
I had ideas about newness. And so I started out making these ties, and I made them unusual. My ties were handmade. They were special.
My mom would sit there with a cousin of hers, and they'd sew the labels into the neckwear. And my dad helped Ralph make swatch cards. And it was kind of like everybody pitching in. The office really was the tiniest little thing in the Empire State Building, and all he had was a drawer. And in the drawer, he had the samples of the ties and the fabrics.
I called the brand Polo because I always loved sports. And, you know, I thought, well, I couldn't call it baseball or basketball. I said, and Polo sounded sort of sporty. It sounds like a master plan. It wasn't a master plan. Not thinking about any of it. I said, this is what I want to do. I like these ties. I'm going to make them wider. I'm going to bring them over to the store. I think they're going to like it. I brought it over to Bloomingdale's because Bloomingdale's was the entree into every store, because every store at that time was shopping Bloomingdale's to see what was new, who the new resources, what's happening. And I brought the ties to Bloomingdale's. The buyer looked at the tie and said, Ralph, it's too wide. And would you make it a little narrower? And would you take your label off? We want to have our store brand.
When our tie buyer asked him to take the Ralph Lauren label off the ties, he simply closed up his sample case and walked away.
I don't know what gave me the guts to say no. Not selling to a major store that was going to give you all that exposure because I wanted to be the way I designed it, and this is the brand and this is the name.
And right then and there, that was going to be his first opportunity to really do some business or whatever, and he walked away. Forget about it. You don't have to buy my stuff. I'm not going to give you your label.
When he told me, it got me kind of nervous, but I wrote him a letter, and in the letter I said, I'm not going to be in your way. I'm going to wish for you the wings to fly, and I'll be there with you. Whatever you do, I'm there for you.
I loved what she wrote. It was very deep felt. Ricky's parents came from Vienna. They left when Hitler came. She grew up hearing what they lived through. And so she wanted stability. She was saying, I believe in you. And I think you're going to do it. And I did it. Bloomingdale's came back to me.
The Polo tie by Ralph Lauren, all linen in 10 smashing colors. $12.50 at Bloomingdale's, the Father's Day store.
When you have a 4-inch tie instead of a 3-inch or 2.5-inch, it changes the way someone looks.
60s Mad Men era. Men's clothes were still very, very conservative.
I knew how to do the ties, but I didn't stop from there. I just kept going. What am I going to wear with the ties? We're going to make a shirt, got to make a suit. I found the suit maker, make the shirt maker, all of a sudden they're buying the ties, they're loving the ties. What else you make, Ralph? I have shirts.
He was doing very flamboyant shirtings and these wide lapel suits. And so it was news. And I was a journalist, so of course I wrote about him because it was fantastic. He had done this linen belted back suit. No one was doing wrinkled, unconstructed suits. You can picture guys in the 30s. And I immediately thought of Gatsby.
He started with, the kind of clothes that he wanted to wear, the characters he would like to be. He wanted to tell stories, and that was completely new and revolutionary in the men's arena. He basically created the menswear industry as a designer reality.
When I was starting out, the designer name was not appealing to men. They were used to buying in certain companies, certain brand stores, but they were not, designers were for the women, and the tailor was for the man.
As long as it has the folds in it, Jerry.
Yeah, I know. What Ralph did was took some of the great classics and made them relevant. He made them better. Better fabrics, better fit, and Ralph's taste.
Bob, if you want to take off your hat, take off your hat.
He has a very critical eye. And Buffy Buratella was so attuned to him that she knew exactly what he wanted.
The attention to detail, whether it's a shirt or a shoulder on a jacket, those were things that, he trained my eye on very, very early on.
For jamming on the board, I don't know.
So when you go out there, take your time, walk back and forth across the tee and up and down.
One of the things he was trying to do was to meld the custom tailoring of English Savile Row with an American sensibility. But it was the spirit of the clothes, not just the technical details of the clothes, that made me see clothes in a whole other way. I knew I had to work for him.
Buffy was my right arm. She understood the clothes. I showed her a jacket, she got it. Her eye was good.
He's very competitive, very sure of himself. He had a real sense about who he was and what he wanted to do. Some would characterize it as cockiness, but I saw it more as confidence. He just had a real belief and passion about what he was doing.
Ralph came to me and said, I need a shop. And in his typical calm, understated way, said, Marvin, if I don't have a shop, I can't sell to you anymore. We gave him a shop and really planned one in the middle of our main floor.
I mean, going into Bloomingdale's, owning a store, within a store. I said, how did Ralph get on the first floor of Bloomingdale's where all the bags and the makeup and the jewelry was? But no, Ralph is right there. He had front stage, always had. Ralph had the whole picture.
Bloomingdale's Marvin Traub particularly was a believer. I became their guy. And they said, keep going, Ralph, we want more. But it grew too fast. And I didn't have the right bankers at the time.
There was a certain point in the very early days where Ralph almost lost the whole business.
In the early 70s, before we started licensing, the company had overextended at the bank. The money going out was far extending the money coming in. We couldn't even, I believe, make our payroll.
I just remember, like, one of the guys said, "Ralph, you're out of business." I remember I was so scared. I was sweating, but it was cold. I was worried about telling my father. I thought the one person, I had this vision of telling my father I went out of business. I got up in the morning, it was raining. And I don't know why, but I put on a white jacket and white pants. I hardly ever wear a white suit, and I was walking in the rain, and I said to myself, I'm gonna make it back. I'm not gonna let this happen.
I went to my partner, Larry Lockman, and said, we have to advance credit to the Ralph Lauren company so they can buy piece goods in order to ship to Bloomingdale, something we hadn't done for other people.
I saved some little money. I put everything I had back into the company. And I made it back. I had a voice, I had a showcase. I can do this. Designer as a store, not just a designer as a tie or a shirt. The designer as a business. You think you have to convince me? Or I feel like I'm sitting here, I'm like, he's gonna be hard to convince us. What's strange about this?
No, just...
The other thing strange is we should have been there 2 years ago, 5 years ago.
Right.
One of the biggest flaws in so many fashion people is that they're brilliant, they're clever, they have beautiful ideas, but they really don't have any business sense. He clearly has an extraordinary business acumen as well.
Ralph knew exactly what he was doing. He had a sixth sense to know what the world needs.
I don't think so. I'm in the business of fashion. You know, it sounds like a frivolous thing and it's not important. But I think it's important that people express who they are.
Oh, no.
Fashion has to be desirable and give somebody some kind of emotional reaction to it. And Ralph sees that and understands that, and he gives them the whole package.
He always looked at clothes in a cinematic way, how they created a character, what they said, what images they conjured up, what moods, thinking about the man as a character in his own movie.
Anytime I've ever tried to find a tweed jacket or a hacking jacket or a specific type of trench coat, you know, like Rick's trench coat from Casablanca or his white dinner jacket, double-breasted dinner jacket, it doesn't exist anywhere. And then you'll walk into a Ralph Lauren boutique and you're like, oh my God, he's made it.
These are Ralph Lauren pants, and, you know, he has the kind of things I like. Tweed jackets and those kind of shirts and corduroy trousers. But he doesn't dress me. I've been dressing myself since I was 48.
I've always thought of him as more than just a fashion designer or a businessman. I thought of him as a cultural force, that he changed the way that we all looked at how we should dress and how we wanted to.
And Mr. Lauren is with us this morning to talk about what's coming up in men's clothing, about his own attitude toward design, and what we can expect to pay in the weeks ahead.
I came from a rural working class background, but I was ambitious, and I didn't want to wear the same suits my father wore. My father had one suit, and, you know, he wore it for everything. But even the best dressed guys in town were all in old men's suits, and I didn't want to do that. But there were no other choices for us, and suddenly there was this guy, Ralph Lauren.
There is an attitude about clothes today that is much more relaxed and unfashionable fashion. And my role in terms of what I've believed in and what I wear is that I don't really want to look like a fashion plate, and I don't.
I remember talking to certain people. They said, Ralph, I'd love to wear what you're wearing, but I can't. I don't know. It's not me. I like the jeans, and I like the cowboy boots and the tweed jacket. Now every guy I know has tweeds and jeans and cowboy boots.
I think Western clothes are as traditional as a tweed jacket. And I love things that are not fashion. I love things that have a sense of aging, have a background of lifestyle behind What I feel I've given is a certain romantic fantasy to the clothes.
He finds beauty in every aspect of American culture, whether it be Native American, whether it be cowboy, whether it's the Ivy League culture, and he finds the sort of nobility in each of those, and he created the best possible versions, the idealized versions of the clothing. Ralph Lauren democratized the whole idea of what was stylish, and that's the story of America. He was the first one to say, no, I think that the guy that is the GI, or the guy that is the cowboy, or the guy that's the working man, he could be just as cool as an aristocrat.
The key to his success is an instinctive understanding that his taste spoke for millions and millions of people. It wasn't trying to figure out what they liked, it was what he liked. And he was betting that what he liked, they would like, and he was very, very right.
You think Ralph Lauren Polo, that's what you think, Polo. The most exclusive kingly sport that there is, that requires you to own horses, to know how to ride them. Ralph Lauren Polo. It wouldn't be Ralph Lifshitz Polo. That wouldn't work.
A lot of people thought that Ralph had changed his name because he wanted to be more waspy. Absolutely not true. Aha! I am the person who created the name change. Throughout life, having a name, L-I-F-S-H-I-T-Z, Lifshitz, okay, was a tough thing to live with. Ralph and I both went to the Rabbi Israel Salanter Yeshiva. In the yeshiva, even though their names were Goldberg and Silverberg and Silverstein and Cohen and Lifshitz, they still, somebody said, oh, hi, Shitzy. There was never a moment where I want to escape my origins, but I said, Lenny and Ralph, I want to tell you something. I would like for us to change our names. If you guys would like to do it, I'm ready to do it. I don't need this shit anymore.
When I read that always the reference to his name, I think there was a smidgen of anti-Semitism there. It was like, who's this little Jew to tell us how to dress up? And I wrote a column to defend Ralph Lauren. He was coming on, he was becoming bigger and bigger. And they always pointed out that he was from the Bronx and his name was Lifshitz. It's a real name. Aha, with elbow jab, aha, see, he's just a Lifshitz. And I resented it, because I said, no, this isn't something bad, this is good. And I likened Ralph to the Hollywood moguls of the 30s and the 40s. L.B. Mayer, who was the head of Metro-Goldwyn-Mayer Studios. Sam Goldwyn, another one. The Warner Brothers, all but one, were born overseas. You can go through the list and say they were all immigrants. These guys had an idea in their head. They were really good when it came to feeling the pulse of the American people.
Come this way, sir.
And that's the eye of the outsider. That's what Ralph has. I thought Ralph Lauren, like these guys, created a look. He was telling people, this is the great American look. And how do I know it? Because first he saw it in the movies.
All you need is a frame now and you'd be a masterpiece.
My dad was a product of the movies. He grew up wanting to be like the stars on the silver screen. He loved the style. He had heroes, and I think those heroes inspired him. He wanted to be bigger and better than where he came from. I think he had aspirations to not only dress the part, but be the man and move past his upbringing and become somebody special.
Movies had a great impact on me because they opened the window to a world that I didn't grow up with.
The idealization of the waspy American dream is a Hollywood notion, is a Jewish notion, is a fashion business notion in America. And Ralph Lauren's work is very much about class, about aspiration. Like Hollywood, he sold America on a version of the American dream.
I was always inspired by 30s or 40s movies. Movies made somewhere around the Depression. They always reminded me of happy, make-believe glamour. Those movies have always made me feel good.
Could go to the movies for 10 cents and watch a comedy set in a penthouse in which the ladies were wearing bias-cut charmeuse evening gowns and the men were in impeccable white tie or tuxedos, and everybody was smoking and drinking martinis.
This fantasy of the glamour of a beautiful penthouse and an elegant party is one part of the Ralph Lauren fantasy. In the Ralph Lauren version of that, it's only the elegance and the beauty. Nobody's drunk. Nobody's throwing a martini glass and smashing it. Ralph Lauren has always understood that people want the world to be comfortable. They don't really want the world to be full of edge and harshness and bitterness. They want the world to be right.
The brand is there to make you smile and to make you feel like you're dressing the part. Ralph Lauren is not interested in stirring the pot. He's not interested in the nitty-gritty.
In another era, he would have been one of the great producers in Hollywood. He would have been able to conjure those dreams that this kid from the Bronx saw at the movie houses and wanted to fully engage in. With Ralph, the proscenium has disappeared, and he thinks it is possible to walk through into the screen and be fully in those worlds just as he was.
He has built his own world from a very young age. And in that world, the romance, the allure, the dream is alive. So it's not a dream anymore. It's a dream manifested.
I always wanted a beach house. You know, I had no money, so Ricky and I would just walk around the beach and say, if you could have any way you want to live, how would you want to live? This is such a beautiful spot. I have a very hectic life, and, you know, when I get away, I need to get away where I have the simplicity of life. Slide. Yeah, and I do feel that my family comes first.
My birthday money from when I was a little girl went to starting our family. And I was an only child. So having 3 children was a big deal for me. I was so happy, and it was my job to be the mother, to be there to support Ralph as he went forward with his dreams. And it was important for us all to be part of his dreams, living the dreams together.
My children were always part of everything. We weren't very social because I never had time. I wanted to be with my family. So on weekends where everyone's going out, everyone's houses, I remember saying to a friend of mine, I said, you know, I'd love to be with you, but in summer, I'm going to be with my family. I remember walking with Ricky one day, and in East Hampton, they have parties on the weekends, and all of a sudden, we were not invited to anything. I'd see these people, you know, cars parked in front of all these cars going parties and going dinner parties. I guess they forgot about us, Ricky. You know, sometimes you want to be invited, but you don't necessarily want to go. But when they stop inviting you, then it's a problem.
Ralph, he totally believes in the importance of family. It's rare to see him out and about. So Ralph, in a way, is quite isolated. And he has a very close-knit group with whom he feels comfortable and can be himself. his family and people that have been with him for years. I think he feels most at home and most secure in these amazing environments that he's created for himself. And maybe remaining in that cocoon has kept his vision strong.
Remember, the layering looks good too. How many? Do we have any more of those dresses? Do we have any more dresses in this? Do we have more dresses? After I had success, it built on more success. We need more of this. Do we have more? And I started to believe I can do things. We need more evening. And it kept coming. But I didn't think I would ever do women's clothes. I lose the color here. I want to see how this could look a little sexier, a little more evening, because it looks a little young. Like, I love the way we look here. Menswear is easier for me because I'm a man. I could say I want those pants, but when I'm doing women's clothes, I feel like I've stretched. Yeah, I need it to be more sophisticated.
Okay. Yep.
Let's see what Dr. had. I think you can fix this up, but the white skirt bothers me.
Right, yeah. Pressure at that strong.
That's mine.
Right, okay.
He knows the fabric, he knows the silhouette.
She looks sophisticated. Yes. That's what I like.
He knows what he wants to say.
They look a little too overpowered.
He's shown it all by the people who are going to bring it in, and he'll go, that.
That's beautiful. It could be day or night. You know?
Yeah,
it
agree,
depends on what we don't have. The red could be good.
Yes.
This is very sophisticated. Let me see that. That's good. Let me see that.
One of the great delights of Ralph is just the sense that his woman can be in an absolutely drop-dead, incredible, simple black dress.
Let me see that without a jacket for a second.
And at the same time, astride a horse wearing a beautiful silk T-shirt and a pair of well-cut jeans. I just think that he loves women in a way that other fashion designers really that I could think of just don't. He understands women, he respects women.
Maybe she doesn't need the matching belt to the belt on the jacket. Yeah.
He celebrates women.
That's good. That's perfect.
It's a great mix.
Women's wear really started because Ricky and I were saying, gosh, those are great men's clothes. Make them smaller because we want to wear them.
With Ricky first, we'd go shopping and she'd go into a boys' store that had hacking jackets. And so I'd put the jacket on Ricky and say, oh, that looks great. I want that. That's what I want to do.
He said, well, I think my muse would look wonderful if she wore slacks that were pleated and put her hands in her pockets and, had a great man-tailored jacket or a beautiful silk shirt with a bow or even a necktie. He was seeing me and making things for me the way he thought I would look good. And he certainly knew how to do the men's tailoring for women.
The first things we did for women when I first started were shirts, but they were made in the men's factory. He had an image in his mind's eye of what the collar should be and the stitches per inch and what kind of buttons it should be and what the width of the placket should be. The tailor would go back and make something and come back and show Ralph, and then we'd fix it and tweak it some more and back and forth and back and forth. The attention to every single detail on this shirt took an entire day to fit and perfect one shirt. At the beginning, Ralph would have the fashion show in his office, which was a living room with a fireplace, and we'd have folding chairs. Ralph would stand in front of the fireplace. He would talk about the clothes. So it was very informal, and he had Persian rugs and velvet sofas. And the showrooms were what would have been bedrooms. Didn't look like anybody else's showroom because it was somebody's apartment. He just loved the idea of this homey place.
First small show I did in my offices, and I had never been to a fashion show. After that show, I called my staff in, which was 2 people, I think. And I said, I just want you to know that this is it. I want to quit the women's. I want to leave on top. I had a good show, and I don't think I could go anywhere else.
How am I going to do skirts? I don't know anything about skirts or dresses. I didn't have enough training. But I found seamstresses and sewers on 7th Avenue and had to sketch the looks of the girls and what I thought they should look like. And then we made the clothes based on that.
Back in the 70s and 80s, he defined how the American woman was changing, how a modern woman was emerging, and what her needs were and what her life was. He saw their liberation. He saw their freedom.
Whenever you have a designer putting a woman in a tuxedo, you're going against the idea of, and the stereotype of what a woman is supposed to be and what she's supposed to look like.
He just had this vision of the Ralph Lauren woman, fresh, American, natural, different than what had been going on before. I'd been modeling for French designers. Everything was like a caricature. Purple fuchsia lipstick, lacquer on the eyes, lacquer on the hair. Ralph said, wash her face, brush her hair, no makeup. And I remember thinking at the time, oh my God, this is something new. I was so stunned because for the first time, it was a picture of me. A picture of a woman. It wasn't a picture of somebody's beauty ideal.
I think if Ralph has one regret, it would be that he was not a movie director. I could see just how cinematic his mind is. When he talks about an ad campaign, it's not about just, trying to sell his clothes. He understands, almost more than anyone I've met, the potency of the American dream.
He had a very big story to tell. How better to do it than to have the New York Times Magazine come out and you've got a 17-page spread of beautiful people, beautiful life, beautiful lifestyle, something that is aspirational but attainable. He was the first to do it.
And when the ads came in, it was like an event. People wanted to see that campaign. It was as much of a thing in the culture as, the release of a new book or film.
As Polo Ralph Lauren began to become a national presence, those ads created an image that was incredibly powerful, deeply alluring, and different from what other people were doing.
If you look at the early ads, we would go off and shoot for sometimes 2 weeks at a time. And we would pack up all these suitcases, men's clothes, and the women's clothes, and the children's clothes, and the home collections. And we'd create, that world.
We cast our movies, most of them were not models. One of the men was an architect and was the husband of the fashion editor of Mademoiselle magazine. And Ralph thought he had great style. He had this mustache. We had, sisters of somebody and children of these people. Ralph would find some, Bruce would find some.
Buffy would grab something from her, like a piece of jewelry that she really loved, and Ralph would give us things from his closet. It wasn't the normal way of working in the fashion business where it was storyboarded.
One of the things that drew Ralph to Bruce Weber, Bruce's pictures, were very evocative and very real and very anti-fashion.
Usually you have an agency that comes in, they research and they give you a look. I didn't need the agency for that. I knew exactly who I was and what I wanted to say, and I knew what I wanted for advertising. I needed to tell the story.
When I was on the set, they would give me all these stories. Tim, this is your house. You just inherited it from your uncle, but you try not to let the other family members know yet. And then Isabel's, your wife, dress you up in these beautiful clothes. By the time he started shooting, I mean, you really believe this.
I picked the girls, I picked the guys, I gave them the background.
It's not even about the clothes. It really creates a cinematic vision of a life.
In working with Bruce, who is such an American photographer and so much adores the American way of life and family and children and dogs and horses, together they created this Ralph Lauren myth that exists today.
If Ralph is called out for anything, and called out is a big phrase because it's very hard to argue with a man's success, it is for the constancy of his aspirational point of view and his optimistic point of view.
He's a patriot, so he channels all these dreams about America uncritically into his work, and everybody is overjoyed to see them because they want to believe that too. Americans are very attached to our utopian notions.
We'd done some pictures of just this pristine white barn, and it was a misty morning. And he said, "That's my ad." It just said Ralph Lauren Country. There were no models, there was nothing. And I just remember Bruce Weber said that's one of the bravest things I think Ralph ever did in advertising. You wanted to step into that picture and you wanted to live in that world and you wanted to live in that barn.
I think people have sometimes sort of dismissed Ralph as a marketer because his advertising campaigns were so extraordinarily visionary.
You are not just buying an article of clothing, you've joined a narrative. And that's very different than what fashion is.
The ads had a language of elegance and a timeless classic quality. It was a lifestyle that spoke to me as a young, aspiring black man in the South. It's a classic statement about style. Ralph Lauren also broke the codes when he had Tyson Beckford in those beautiful fitted suits.
You opened the magazine at GQ and you saw that. It was just like, oh my God, what is this? Who is this? Even I said, who is this? You know?
This young man comes along, and I guess it was just in Ralph's eye. Tyson had something that was street, yet elegant. And he was dark and very handsome.
It was the big thing in the black community for someone of my color and my mixed race to be in something like that. No one had done that before on that level. Here is a black man in a $3,000, $4,000 suit in a GQ magazine. Wall Street guys were looking at this, and you know, CEOs, businessmen were looking like, this suit is nice. This is really nice. I need to go get this.
Ralph, he has always, at a time when it was not so socially acceptable, championed diversity. He was one of the first to use African Americans in a very meaningful way in his advertising campaigns and in his runway shows. It wasn't a token person, you know, let's just check that box. He would use them in remarkably strong images, and they would become the face of Ralph Lauren. And not many other people were doing it at the time that Ralph stood up and did it.
It was a big deal. It was a big deal to have two people of color be in a nationwide or worldwide ad campaign
when you can create a point of intersection between enough popularity to make a very large and successful business and enough creativity to make it feel interesting, then you're kind of onto something.
Ralph has been inspired by so many things that he hasn't been confined to one look.
I'm taking things from different worlds, and there are certain things that I love. Military, safari, Western, English writing. They're all romantic stories. When I'm working on a collection, I'm thinking of characters and people and movies and books, and they're all part of what goes in and then comes out, and things that I never knew I had, things that I never knew I carried with me are revealed as I start to work. My childhood, and growing up, and my dreams of future, and everything I've experienced, everything that I've seen.
The creative process to him is like breathing. There's walls full of clothes and sketches. The inspiration can come from anywhere, from an old book, from a painting he might have seen, something in a magazine that sparked his imagination.
The movie Aviator was coming out, and I said, that's what I want to do. And I just started to work on my next season's collection. I had to take that and build a whole world around it.
If he's got the Aviator mood, he's in a room and there's Amelia Earhart and there might even be Katharine Hepburn. So you have done all the research of the Aviator looks. All of that, it's all in the mood boards. These are rooms, they are mood rooms.
He's gathering information, and it's very kind of free form. And the characters, they're coming to him as he's working. It's like an artist, keeps adding a layer, keeps adding a new color.
It's like building a statue out of clay. It's like you take these pieces of clay and you throw it on and then you start to mold it.
Everything is about a story. It's never about a blouse or a pair of pants.
He's from the same hometown as Antonio Banderas.
He had a vision of the Riviera.
About Gerald and Sarah Murphy, Picasso, the whole expat American thing back in the 30s.
Hemingway had an effect. It's just something that spurred you on. So sometimes that's a whole collection, sometimes it's a little piece of something.
Just takes one spark like that. A picture of a little raggy piece of denim and he's off.
It's never a literal thing. It gives you a sense about the color, the texture, the mood of the clothes.
It's about wearability. It's about understatement. I believe in timelessness that doesn't go out with the trend, it doesn't go out with age.
What he does is take things from the world and embrace and synthesize influences. He is not somebody who created an entirely original way of seeing and doing things. Ralph Lauren is not where you turn for the cutting edge. That he leaves to other people. You do not need to have an intellectual view of fashion to like Ralph Lauren's work. You viscerally respond to it.
Not everything works.
When you're going to pull from your toes through your throat to get this thing happen. You sort of have to have an editor's eye and say, I don't think this is good, put it away.
We always get nervous when you go on vacation. After we've signed off on everything, and then maybe Buffy will get a phone call. You know, I'm rethinking.
We started one collection. We were halfway through it. Bought sample yardage. We had walls full of clothes and sketches, and Ralph came back from the holidays and said, it's wrong.
And said, wait a minute, I can make it more sophisticated because I don't want to look like yesterday.
The next meeting, everything came off the walls, and he said, I think I want to do something cleaner, sleeker, more contemporary. I think I want to do something beautiful with gray flannel.
We went and we ordered all new piece goods, cream cashmere, light gray cashmere, beautiful mauves and pinks.
And it was a scramble. But we believe in his instincts, and everyone gets on board.
He has created a team, he sets a template, he has a DNA. Everybody understands absolutely what Ralph really wants. He's had many of the same people working for him for years.
I don't do anything alone. I work with a team of people. My company's like a repertory. It's like a family. They're good and they understand. It's a team that's been developed with Rick Message. You can't do this alone.
The contrast here.
Yeah, the contrast.
I think that's what's...
One of the things that Ralph has always loved is contradiction. There's an amazing picture of Naomi Campbell wearing like this slinky, beautiful gold glistening dress. And Ralph throws a safari jacket over her shoulders.
All high-end designers are trying to deal with how do you adapt luxury to the increasingly casual lifestyle. But Ralph sort of forged a lifestyle concept before it was a thing. He did a lot of things before they were things. And that's one of them. Ralph's whole immersion into performance wear and athletic wear was a huge thing, and it really grew out of his belief in the lifestyle concept. Now, if so many people are jumping to yoga pants, Ralph Lauren got into it a long time ago. He saw that it wasn't antithetical to who he is as a designer or of his message. This isn't a change, it's an expansion, it's an evolution, an extension of casual.
And it's funny today that all the young guys are talking about wearing, track pants with like suit jackets, and they're like, this is what's happening right now. It's all about adaptability and about expressing the relationship with the urban environment. I'm like, guys, Ralph Lauren was doing that 35 years ago,
If you look back at his history, you see so much of what designers are thinking about today, taking these very simple items that you see kids wearing on the street, whether it's a jogging pant or a parka or a t-shirt, and making them fashion. And Ralph was the first to do that and to understand that, and a way to see how street style would become the world's uniform.
I had the timing when the mood is there. Who are you? What's happening in the world? But you have to have a strong vision and staying power.
For every good designer, the clothes are an extension of the person. It has to come from within him, and it clearly does. And his idea was, it wasn't just a collection of clothes. It was this complete lifestyle, and it was all consistent with this dream that he has.
He really put the world together. Children, furniture, men's, women's, the pillows, the sheets, the blankets, the duffel bag.
Ralph Lauren was the very first fashion designer to design a full home collection.
He took lifestyle and made it haute style. He just took simple, everyday, beautiful things and made everybody covet them. You can buy a whole Ralph Lauren room. every single thing, the hardware. I've bought some of his hardware. It was just fabulous.
You can just sort of live this Ralph Lauren life, and it's now become the standard in the industry. I mean, I don't know any brand that aspires to just be a clothing brand. Everybody aspires to be a lifestyle brand. I think Ralph Lauren legitimately offers up a lifestyle. I think a lot of other brands basically just offer up a lot of stuff.
And this window right here is not going to go up to the ceiling. It's going to have like an area.
Everything that I have done has been from my vision of what I would like. What do I like for my kids? What do I like for my wife? What do I like for my house? It was no one telling me this is new. There was no one saying, do it. I did it.
All of a sudden he's like, I gotta do homework because I gotta put stuff in my house. I need napkins. Every place is a set. It's my parents' movie. The house in Bedford, it's an estate. It feels like you're in England. And then they found a beautiful place in Colorado. The beach house in Montauk. An apartment in New York. And then Jamaica.
A beach, Western, English. They conjure up houses, they conjure up furniture. I've taken cowboy boots and I made them into chairs on my ranch.
This homes, they're fuel for him. In these homes, he finds inspiration.
My dad can dream up these lifestyles and create an aesthetic and his surroundings. It's an emotional thing.
If I come out west and I have a dream about what these cabins are gonna look like, well, if I'm gonna make a cabin, I want it to have a squeaky door.
He feels like things get better with age. So he brings things from the past into the future. You could open a cupboard and find an amazing stereo system inside, but the old paint's still there. He's timeless, but he's definitely living in the now.
With Ralph Lauren, while the mythology does indeed kind of meld into the reality, it's because the mythology comes from the reality. Most of us will never be on a 1,000-acre Colorado ranch, but you can experience all of it through Ralph Lauren.
Just looking at his life and his work, they're one. It's completely autobiographical. He's completely sharing his interests and his life, and it's positive. Does art imitate life, or does life imitate art? With Ralph, there's no separation.
I'm that guy in the movie. And my wife's the girl in the movie. It starts out with a fantasy, a dream, and it ends up as part of your life. When you're out west, you think about the trees and the colors, architecture and the plains. They're inspiring to me.
When he's in Colorado and he's coming down from a long year of hard work, he gets out there and he just sits down and he looks at the mountains. He has a quietness about him, but it's almost because he's absorbing everything and he's listening a lot.
You know, my dad's like a real down-to-earth family guy.
Okay.
All right, so here's the question. You know, when we're together, we're watching movies, we're, hanging out, having hamburgers and hot dogs.
This is fun. We have a very tight-knit family that stayed together and played together.
My dad is loose and easy, and he's funny. He puts on a pair of sunglasses, he gets in a car, and
Ralph always, I think, identified with Steve McQueen. That was the Wild Bunch part of Ralph. But I think his real kind of soul hero was always Cary Grant.
Ralph Lauren always wanted to be Paul Newman and always wanted to be a cowboy.
He looks good as a cowboy. I like, for him, I would be ridiculous. He's not.
Ralph gets to play Ralph Lauren. And Ralph is exactly what he wants to play. He's good looking, he's a hero. He can wear any of that stuff, the evening clothes or the cowboy clothes, and he looks great.
He's a handsome man. He photographs very well. He's it. He's Ralph Lauren, and he's the face of the brand.
Looking back at those pictures, you can see the origins of this brand. In some ways, the brand is iconic for those great images that are ingrained in people's heads.
He has a very strong DNA, and this is like the gift, the absolute gift for a brand, definitely.
Public figure who's in his own ads, who lives his own lifestyle, is also a very shy person. And so it's important to make a distinction between the mythology that he has spent his entire life creating for others because he wished to have that for himself, and the real person. But there's not that much daylight between them.
Designers, when we were all coming up, just thought about collections. Fashion. Ralph was thinking about his brand. No one else thought about that. He just separated himself and his company from the fashion business because he was creating his own world.
I think the thing that had to be so frustrating for him was to create the lifestyle fantasy and then walk into a department store and see that it was in this terrible, awfully lit environment, styled on a mannequin in the wrong way, and poof, there went the dream and the fantasy that he was trying to bring into people's lives.
I felt that there was a need to create and do what I believed with Ralph Lauren and Polo in a much larger scale. And I saw this building on 72nd Street that had this mansion-like feeling, and I said, this is what I want.
The mansion was like a big Hollywood set. he could create the world exactly the way he wanted to. So when people walked in, it wasn't about buying, it was about an experience.
Opening day, he took us through the store with a grand staircase, oriental carpet, a huge portrait of an English gentleman right on the landing. He pointed to it and said, "That's Grandpa Lifshitz." I thought the store was terrific. And I said, "How is it doing?" He said, "I think it's doing fine."
He was the first designer to open up retail stores. He met with a lot of resistance from department stores because those people thought he would be in competition. He knew, and he told them, "Your business will grow because of my freestanding stores." And he was absolutely right.
Rhinelander changed the structure of fashion to a tremendous degree. Because up until Ralph Lauren opened that Rhinelander store, designer vertical retail was not a thing. And Ralph Lauren had the audacity, and it was audacious, to open this amazing store on Madison Avenue, a few blocks from Bloomingdale's. That was shocking.
So a lot of people would say in the press, they say, well, was Bloomingdale's going to drop Ralph Lauren? Well, Bloomingdale's didn't drop Ralph Lauren. They increased their order. They doubled their order.
I don't think you can overstate the impact that he had on the way that designers retail their brand.
It's sort of performance art in which you can participate. It's a stage set in which everything is for sale.
The store not only had the clothes, but saddles, riding crops. I mean, I don't know what to do with a riding crop or a saddle. I want a pair of socks. But it made me feel good. Okay, this is my store. My kind of people come here, equestrians, right?
Oh, I might like to look like that. I might want to have that tweed. I might want to have that riding boot. I might want to have that horse. Well, I don't have a stable, but I'll go get the bit, the riding boots, and I'll look really snappy and jaunty. You always have something in a Ralph Lauren look that pivots what you feel about yourself, which can give you confidence. Even a polo shirt is aspirational. Rainbow colors. Who would not want to aspire to that dream?
I moved to America, I wanted the polo shirt. And that, as an immigrant for me, was what America was. By buying a shirt, you can all of a sudden be part of that club.
I needed a way to set myself apart. What would be my magician's cloak? And it was the polo shirt. It said that I could travel from the south side of Chicago to the beaches of Montauk.
The longing that he taps into is about belonging. It's about feeling that you have not just attained some kind of personal success, but social success, cultural success.
And so that it isn't just him speaking to the people who already have it. It's speaking to people who want to have it. And that's his story, too.
People know his story. I mean, they know that this is not a guy who was born wealthy. He's self-made. But because his narrative has been so rooted in this very waspy look, there's been this sense that everyone in that world has also looked very waspy. And that hasn't really been the case.
Wool hat with the horsey. This is actually the retro reissue stuff. It's a little cold outside. Always low socks. And then you're not gonna catch me without my polo drawers on.
These guys brought this really rich, interesting context to the brand that wasn't there.
We took their style and we made it our own. The Lowlifes were formed in 1988 in Brooklyn. Not too many people say polo. It's always referred to as low. We were always into hip-hop culture and the fashion of graffiti, breakdancing, DJing, and everything. And polo became an obsession for us.
They looked like mannequins from the store, how much stuff they had on. And I knew how much the stuff cost. These guys were wearing like $400 jackets with $300 boots.
Like everybody else, we wanted the finer things in life. But a lot of people felt the clothes weren't made for us in the ghetto. We were poor, And I didn't have no other way of really getting the clothes. So I'm going to take it.
We don't have to buy shit, take what I want, everything is my shit. Low life from the old cipher, the Polo.
You go on boosting missions with a couple of guys who can walk in the store and come out with anything. Down the leg, down the back, and the shirt, and the sleeve. When we would come back to our neighborhoods wearing these clothes, you looked like somebody, you felt like somebody.
It was a way of saying that you made it, you were successful. Because it was so regal, it was so royal, it was, you know, it was the top of the top.
When rap and hip hop embraced Ralph Lauren, they were essentially saying that we're going to take this symbol of what it means to be a success in America, we're going to turn it on its head a little bit, and we're going to sort of wear it on our own terms.
Ralph Lifshitz came from the Bronx. He pursued the American dream. It's what we did. This was our way of seeing America further than the last stop on the train.
I like Vince Black. I still like Vince. Beyond the glamour of fashion, there is the reality of making a product, selling it to the stores, getting them delivered on time, and then next year. What are you going to do next season? What I was looking for, the ultimate thing that doesn't. Doing one collection is painful. It's painful. It's not easy. And my days is distracted. I'm not just sitting there designing a dress. I'm running from an ad meeting to a board meeting to another meeting.
When you're in this industry, you do have to keep pushing forward. You got to get out there and you're going to be better every season. And he wants to get better with age. So he works harder.
It seems like a passion. Building this company, I believe that there's one person can't do it all. From the financial end of it to the artistic end of it, it's the team. One person can't be the great artist and the great genius, financial genius, and the Wall Street genius, and I might be the only guy, probably.
What's in a brand name? The Ralph Lauren Polo brand, about $767 million. That's how much was raised in yesterday's initial public offering of stock in Polo Ralph Lauren Corporation.
Going public just made him more famous. Ring that bell on the New York Stock Exchange. It's a very exciting day. And then your stock is traded, and then you have to deal with your shareholders year after year after year. And you're under a tremendous amount more scrutiny than you were before.
He had a great concern that something would go out of the business when it became public. And even though he clearly knew he could make a lot of money, the decision weighed on his mind, whether it was a good or bad decision.
Going public is very complicated for any fashion company. It places an undue burden on, a creative business, which is always going to show kind of ebbs and flows in terms of how people respond to new products.
That's
So
like
you've
your
got,
stock.
so you have, Ralph, you have got.
You may not totally be free to express what you want.
This is what I want.
And yet shareholders invest in your business because they believe in you and they want to see growth. I don't know all of you, but I would like to know you. But as you get bigger, it's harder to control the sales. It's hard to control the design. And it's harder and harder to control the company. Why don't you do that? You have to choose some sophisticated people financially to help you grow. Sometimes it works. And sometimes it doesn't.
A lot of people have come and gone quite quickly over there because they have tried to introduce a new way of thinking, and that's not possible for Ralph. Ralph believes in what he has created. He believes in the Ralph Lauren way of doing business, and it's worked, and he's not going to move off that. He's not getting off that train.
I decided to go public because I wanted to have a bigger business. The whole world was there, and I felt like I had something to say that was international.
The first store that he opened in Paris was the talk of the town, and now there's a Ralph Lauren store everywhere. In Milan, there are stores. In London, there are stores everywhere.
He has
created this idea of American style and what that means around the world.
I really love the fact that he celebrates his country. It's very relative to what his vision of America, and it's very exotic for us, maybe the French people.
The fact that Ralph Lauren's international name is as important as the French and the Italians is very significant for American fashion.
When you talk to young designers, you ask them which designers they most admire and who they might like to meet. There's two names that come back again and again. It doesn't matter what corner of the globe that you're in. It's Karl Lagerfeld and it's Ralph Lauren.
For me, he is the American designer who represents America and American fashion best for the rest of the world.
When you went to Japan, crowds were assembling to take his picture. He's seen as an ambassador of American culture, and he reminds people of what's great about our country.
That's their slice of America. Having that T-shirt is their ownership of the United States.
I think if we have anything close to a national designer, it's Ralph Lauren.
When the Star-Spangled Banner was tattering to shreds, I reached out to Ralph, and next thing I knew, he was pledging $13 million to repair our Star-Spangled Banner. It was literally the flag that was flying when our national anthem was written. And it's because he got it. He understands icons because he is one.
You couldn't grow up in America in the 80s onwards and not know the name of Ralph Lauren. He is the classic American mythological entrepreneurial success story, in any industry.
The official uniform of the U.S. Olympic team has been unveiled.
Ralph Lauren will throw out tonight's ceremonial first pitch.
Being able to pitch at the Yankee Stadium was unbelievable.
Thank you, Ralph.
It is a key to our city.
Ralph Lauren will become the first American designer to be knighted by the Queen.
I think Ralph has won every design award out there.
Thank you very, very much.
But it was the Lifetime Achievement Award that Audrey Hepburn gave to Ralph that was the high of the high of the highs.
Tonight, we salute Ralph Lauren for his contributions to American style, design, and culture, and to the way he has added beauty, comfort, and dreams to our lives.
I think this looks very good. Again, this
Ralph knows what he's achieved, but he still comes from that place of hunger. He still wants to create and excel. He doesn't look at the past success and say, okay, I'm done.
He's never satisfied. He's restless. And there's always the next season. There's always the next collection. There is nothing to be rested on. And the awards and the accolades are not as important as the thing you're working on now.
I don't like the belt. I really don't like it. You don't like the belt? No, I don't like these sneakers as much. Something's not sharp enough. I don't know what it is.
He has been able to stay very, very true to his aesthetic while progressing that aesthetic, which is one of the hardest things to do, if not the hardest thing to do in fashion.
He remains within his own framework. But Ralph is still in there, pushing himself. Always question, he's always looking, he's always thinking.
Oh, that's very
And I think that he's been concerned sometimes that he's not been hot enough. But he says very clearly, I don't want to be too hot, and I don't want to be too cold. I just want to exist. I want to be like Nike, or I want to be like Coca-Cola. And I think he's achieved that.
Ralph Lauren has become so established in the culture that it could be the object of irony. But that doesn't mean it was created with ironic intent by him. Ralph Lauren does not have an ironic bone in his body. He really believes all this stuff. He really believes how beautiful the world can be if we would only let it be so. The thing about Ralph Lauren's world is that it's so benignly aspirational.
He has really built his entire empire on this idea anyone can enter the fantasy American dream.
Finding a voice and demanding that you kind of rewrite how we have thought about all these stories. And, you know, this is not a brand that rewrites.
The question is, how do you move forward? How do you develop newness? And how do you stay Ralph Lauren and not lose your identity? But I stayed true to myself. And some of the criticism was very painful. It's like, my God, maybe I'm not good. Maybe I think I'm good, but I'm not.
Look how nice that looks.
I've gone by my gut. Not everything is genius. And yes, I would love everyone to love it. But I'm a big boy, and I've lived through critics from day one. And I think that if I listened to the critics, I would have quit. Let's put that on here. This is my 50th year. So think of this, 50 years back and forth on the runway, saying, oh my God, what am I going to do next year? So we're looking, searching for what's been done and what's not been done.
These are the pictures.
You're rolling the dice again and again and again.
This collection is just a culmination of everything that you've always believed in.
This is not about every year. This is just now. And I wanted this collection to be like it was my last. People say, Ralph, you don't worry about your shows anymore. You don't care about. I say, are you kidding? I'm more nervous today than I ever been.
I was completely, like, boggled by it. I mean, my eyes were falling out of my head because everywhere I turned, there was some, extraordinary person. Anne Hathaway, Oprah Winfrey, Robert De Niro, Steven Spielberg. Every American designer practically. And everyone was there just to be happy for Ralph and be proud of Ralph. I honestly, I thought it was wonderful.
You're never sure that you got it right. You think you got it right, you feel it in your gut. But I'm nervous until the last moment.
Ralph Lauren's place in fashion history is secure. He represents something that is more than just a bunch of clothes.
It was a very big tent embrace of everybody, you know, colors, ages, sizes. Like everyone can be a part of my world.
He took fantasies of what America should be and made entire worlds out of them over half a century.
I think sometimes he can't quite believe that it's happened. Sometimes he's still that little boy, not quite believing that, you know, I am Ralph Lauren.
That hug. That to me said no matter who's in that room, no matter who's shiny, who's successful, you always go back to someone who really knows who you were and who you came from and where you came from.
At the very end of the show, he always goes to his family. And I think that's so touching because you know where the priority lies there. You have to have a full life to be able to create. You can't create from emptiness. And I think Ralph has a very full, beautiful, loving life.
When I saw the children playing and people from all over and the mixes of lives and worlds, I mean, I was emotional. It was everything that I believed in about life. 50 years. I'm very excited about my work. I feel vital and creative, and I'm looking forward to the future. I care about what I do, and I love what I do. You have to keep working. I'm living the life I dreamt about living, and I enjoy creating my own world. But as you get older, you don't need all the things you thought you needed. You need the good things. Warmth, the smells of country mornings, and the way the fences look, the color of the barn, and life is wonderful. When I built my house in Bedford, my mother said, "What do you need this for?" I said, "Mom, I want this so I can have that little house down the hill with a little red barn. That's for my soul." Sometimes you have to fulfill your dreams to know what your real dream is about. The real dream is family, children, having peace.
Even better than the comic book, this is something you've never seen before. Out of this world critical acclaim for Watchmen, new Monday at 9 on Sky Atlantic.